calories on menus. So we've just completed 2 significant consultations with health, consumer, and industry stakeholders on those 2 issues, on the menu labeling, on the advertising to kids. So look forward to provincial legislation on the menu labeling component later this winter. And finally, on the subject of healthy, active communities, the government has established an interministerial working group. So we know, and it's many of you who have taught us this, that to really help kids to have healthy weights and to be healthy, that it takes an all-hands-on-deck approach. And we know that you're working at the community level across, recreation, public health, community health centers, child and youth serving organizations, local governments to achieve this, and that we need to do that provincially as well. So we have a working group of ministers, which is really exceptional, actually. Ministers are extremely busy people, and for them to have come together as a group and decided to make this a priority really says volumes about the government's commitment on this issue. And so this group includes the Minister of Health, the Minister of Children and Youth Services, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Agriculture and Food, who's also the Premier, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, I always forget one.
Transportation?
No, it's not transportation, but they're important too. I'll think of it. By the end of my remarks, I will remember municipal affairs and housing. I can't believe I forgot them. Local government, obviously, extremely important. On the subject of transportation, we do work very closely, though, with the Ministry of Transportation on things like the provincial cycling strategy and how to improve active transportation for kids and people of all ages. So no disrespect to my colleagues in the Ministry of Transportation. So that's where we are provincially, and we look forward to every opportunity we can to dialogue with you and learn from you about how we can continue to implement the recommendations from this panel and try and continue to elaborate as comprehensive a strategy as possible. I'd also like to acknowledge the work that's being done with support from the Healthy Communities Fund and the support that HC Link provides to support community-driven efforts to work collaboratively in creating programs and policies that support health. And I was really pleased to learn that there are going to be opportunities at this event for sharing experiences and best practices in the areas of healthy eating and physical activity on the policy and the program side that have been supported through the Healthy Communities Fund, or as we tend to call it, the HCF. So looking forward to hearing more about that. Another government priority that is very ably supported through the work of HC Link and many of you here today is French Languages Service Capacity Building Project. This initiative serves to build capacity for those serving Francophones and Francophone communities, and it's wonderful that Francophone attendance at this event was encouraged through the provision of simultaneous interpretation. So I had the opportunity to talk with Amit a little bit this morning, and he was filling me in about the challenges that are particular to the Francophone community in terms of how we can better serve their needs in chronic disease prevention and better reach them with our health promotion efforts. Next year, if I'm back, I'm going to try and do some of my remarks in French. So that's probably a risk if you decide to invite me back next year, that I will try my French on you. But I think we just really wanted to note the importance of the work that HC Link does to serve Francophone Ontarians and the communities in which they live and go to school in particular. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you for the work you're doing to keep Ontario healthy, for your passion and your commitment in this essential and valuable work. We hope you have a wonderful conference. I'm going to be around as much as I can be, so if you have thoughts and advice for me or for other colleagues from the Ministry of Health, we so look forward to the opportunity to meet with you. And again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. It's always great to hear the perspective from the ministry, so we're glad that you were able to be here this morning with us. I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker. And I'm sure by now most of you have already read the bio that's so eloquently written in the brochure. And so many of you may know her personally. You may know her from the texts that are written. So what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about sort of my experience when I first met Tonya. So we had an opportunity to meet together to talk about what we were going to be doing at this event, why we were looking to her to bring us some notes from a keynote, and what our passions were and what we were working on, and talking about who would be in the room. room and who we anticipated would benefit from coming to an event like this. And for those of you who have sort of done background, or maybe those who haven't yet, Tonya's work really does resonate well in terms of what we are doing. Her work has taken her to many places in both the province, the country, and the world. And then when I was sitting talking with Tonya, I realized that reflecting upon who we are and where we want to go and what we're trying to create in the world is really where Tonya has come from. So from her grassroots to ours, I think we have a great fit, and I really look forward to having you benefit from some of the wisdom that Tonya will share with us.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. I am so excited to be here today. I just can't tell you. I get asked to speak all over the world, and it's an incredible pleasure. But rarely do I get a chance to speak to people who I consider to be my people. I come from you, and I am so excited to share some of the stories and the work that I've been doing in parallel to the work that you've been doing for the last little bit. So, yay! I'm here, I made it, I'm so excited, and I just also have to say, I just got back from Bali, which sounds really, really wonderful, but I've been suffering for 48 hours with the worst jet lag ever. How do people travel? Okay, let's just try again. So thank you, Patricia, and thank you to HC Link for inviting me here today. When I was asked to speak around at this event, we talked a lot about innovation and collaboration, and those are topics that I speak quite a bit about. But we really had a chance to speak about community animation, and that's a concept and a word that you get that most of the rest of the world doesn't. And to have the opportunity to reflect on some of the work that I've been doing with that lens is a treat and an opportunity. Okay, first we're just going to see if I make this work this time. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Wait a second, there's another button. Help me out here, Melissa. So I really square it. No? If we bring it up, I can just do it remotely. Yeah, let's just do it. Sorry, technical moment. Just give us a sec. Will it reach, do you think? Searching. Technical moment. Okay, guys. Here we go. Uh-oh, we did it again. Hold on. That's awesome, thank you. Okay, so let's just see. All right, I start from the premise that we need to fix our future. I think all of us come together with a clear understanding that there are greater systems at work that aren't working, and that it's up to us to figure out new ways to design new systems for a better world. And what we know through our work is that we all need to be a part of the solution. Each and every one of us can bring something to this conversation. And it's up to us to figure out how we can engage our communities to also be a part of that solution. So I start with the definition. How many people are familiar with the term social innovation? Oh, I love it when I get an active crowd actually responding. So I've been working on, there's a lot of definitions, it's a new and emerging field, and people are making up definitions left, right, and center. But I've been working on a new definition that I'm going to test out here today. Social innovation is the adoption of new strategies, concepts, ideas, and organizations that meet social, environmental, cultural, and economic needs, and this is important, of all kinds where civil society is extended and strengthened. This is really important. Civil society is extended and strengthened. Too often the definition of social innovation is broad, it becomes corporatized, it becomes institutionalized. And in fact, what this work and this movement is really about is about engagement and activation of civil society. Quicker version, social innovation is idea that serves the public good. So I want to talk talk about 4 megatrends really quickly, and then I'm going to get into some of my work. 4 megatrends that we see happening in the field of social innovation. And I share these with you because I think that these are opportunities for exploration. In my work, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the presentation, but I just have the incredible opportunity to see trends and patterns of organizations that are, and people that are working on different kinds of movements. And the first and one of the most powerful trends that's happening right now is what we call market transformation. These are the dollar signs. It's really about how money is being used to serve people and the planet increasingly. It's about how new systems and new engagement with markets is changing the outcomes in our world. So we see it in the form of fair trade products, worker cooperatives. We see it with bottom of the pyramid thinking, the hybridization of the nonprofit, for-profit space, the increasing interest in corporate social responsibility, the way that large institutions and corporations are actually engaging in what is now called shared value, to be able to harness their institutional power to transform marketplaces. When Walmart takes on the issue of obesity, this is market transformation. Second trend, your trend, the power of collaboration, community, co-creation, the ability that the internet has really enabled for us to co-create and co-consume like never before. We're seeing it with the advent of new technologies that are enabling us to share in ways that we've never done before. Airbnb, bike sharing, car sharing, but also the co-creation process, open source, how open source communities have actually transformed the contribution economy. Increasingly, we're watching as our brands that 20 years ago used to be, this is my brand is the dominant brand. Now what's increasingly happening is our brand is being evaluated because of its relationship to other brands. The power of collaboration, the power that the internet has enabled, is shifting everything we knew about community and about collaboration, about the power of collaboration. Third megatrend, rethink, redo, redesign, salvage, recycle, repurpose. Ultimately, what we're discovering is that incredible opportunities lie in us rethinking how we take things that were once waste and turn them into resources. Solar power, renewable resources, salvaged materials. The dress I'm wearing, all repurposed, all taken from other clothes and put together by a new designer from old materials to repurpose a new fashion line. This is an incredibly important trend as we reimagine where resources are coming from and how we can use those resources. And this is my favorite. This is the one that you guys do. Do you guys know this symbol? Who can tell me? It's the heart. It's the love trend. It's the love trend, because what's happening in this world is that things are shifting. The 80s are over, thank God. And what's happening is that the consumption mentality is being questioned. What's happening is that there is a mass global movement towards meaning making. People are searching for happiness. They're seeking ways to reconnect with humans where money isn't as important as meaning making. And this is the trend that I call love. It's the one that takes the best of local and reconnects us with our sense of place. We see this trend in the huge movement around going back to the power of food. We see it as we see small artisanal creators, whether it's making a broom or engaging in creating a new cafe in your community. We're watching this movement of young people who are reconnecting to the land. One of my favorite organizations to donate to every year is a group called Farm Start, and then there's the come on, you guys know it. Everdale, thank you, Everdale. I mean, we're watching as this movement of young people are coming back to the land and are reconnecting with that sense of place and purpose. And the question is, how are we, as community animators, reconnecting and helping them leverage that momentum and that opportunity. Okay, at the heart of all of this is another fundamental assumption that I bring, which is that collaboration is the DNA of innovation. Innovation happens at the periphery of sectors. It happens in how we come together and co-create new ideas. So the story I want to share with you today is really the story of how you, this group, changed my life. The Ontario Healthy Communities Coalition, is that what it used to be called? OHCC? Still is, okay. We got that coalition, the health promotion, OPC, all of those early organizations introduced me to the term community animation. This is the gift you guys gave me almost 20 years ago. I don't think I actually knew what it meant. I'm still not sure I know what it meant. I go to Peggy to ask occasionally. But I want to share some stories about how that gift that you gave me has been transforming my work for the last 15 or 20 years. For me, the concepts of community animation come down to three big concepts. Community animation to me is about building a sense of belonging. About building a relationship. It's about the power of people. And it's about the power of possibility. Community animation in my mind was like, if we just get the community together, we can do anything. So I'm going to share some stories of some stuff that I've been doing over the last few years that I think reflect my understanding of community animation that I hope will engage and inspire. And I'll also just say, somebody can give me a 45-minute mark, just give me a little thing, and because I really would love questions. And I've got two mics here, and I love questions, and you'll get way more when you ask me questions. So one of the first stories. So what's a mom to do? What's the average rate of cost of childcare in the city of Toronto? Who can tell me? For a 9-month-old?
$70 a day.
How much? $50 a day? So $1,200 a month, right? $1,200 a month for childcare. And in Toronto, that's if you can find it, right? The brutality of finding affordable childcare is crazy. And one of the challenges that I had when my babies were little was how do we afford it? But also, where am I putting my kid? And how can we, the question was, how can we as a group of parents come together and co-create a childcare solution for all of us? And so we came up with a lovely, crafty little model that I think demonstrates the power of community organizing. What we did, I'll just go back. This is a photo of all the kids whose bums I have cleaned. Now, I'm sure actually there's a few more than that in that thing, but basically what happened was many years ago now, because they're much older and much more feisty, a group of 6 families came together with the simple concept, how do we share our cooperative, how might we create a cooperative daycare? And what we did is quite simply, we had 6 kids, 12 adults, and what we did is we pooled our resources. For $450 a month, we each put into a kitty. We took that money, we paid for a little daycare, a little physical space for the kids to play in, and we hired an ECE from 9 to 4 each day. And then what we did is each parent did a duty day where they would come in at 8 o'clock and they would be there until 6 o'clock each day. Now what that meant is that we were able to quite easily create a cooperative daycare where we had a 3-to-1 ratio, which by daycare standards is quite phenomenal. And more importantly, what we were able to do was actually to create the social capital and cohesion amongst us as parents. We built a little peer group that gave us a place to bring our parenting challenges as we were learning how to be moms and dads. 6 kids is just big enough to be a community where your kids get to really figure out the social dynamics, and not big enough that anybody gets lost in the process. So this was a very concrete and simple idea of a group of citizens coming together to solve their own problems. One story.